My name is Sarah, and what I'm about to tell is probably the scariest thing I've ever experienced. Back when those things happened, we were living in my grandparents' house. It was around 11 or 11:30 p.m. that night. My grandfather was asleep in his room like usual. I was about 18 or 19 at the time. We had recently installed a new swing in the yard, and I was obsessed with it. Almost every night, I'd stay outside until 2 or 3 in the morning, swinging back and forth with my headphones in, listening to music. That night, I went to the bathroom, then went back outside and spent another 20 or 30 minutes swinging and walking around the yard. After that, I came back inside. My mom was there too. She was still awake and, the moment she saw me, she froze. She stared at me, then suddenly turned around and rushed toward my room. I asked her, "What's wrong?" She said, "Weren't you just inside?" I said no. She looked at me in utter shock and said, "I just talked to you. You even looked at me and didn't answer." I told her, "I just came in. I've been outside. What are you talking about?" She said she had gone into the kitchen and seen me lying on my bed. One of the bedrooms had a clear view from the kitchen, and that's where she saw me. She opened the fridge, grabbed a bottle of water, and noticed it was half empty, which makes sense, because I have a bad habit of drinking water and never refilling the bottle. She said she got annoyed and came to argue with me. She told me, "Why don't you refill the bottle?" According to her, I was on my phone. I looked at her with a blank expression and then looked back at the phone. She said it again and again. No response. She was about to walk back to the living room when suddenly she heard the door open and saw me walk inside the house. That's when she completely froze. She immediately went to my room and checked. No one was there, but she was sure she had just spoken to me, the other me. I laughed it off and said, "You know this house is old. It's probably haunted too. You must have seen a ghost or something." About a week later, it happened again. I had been outside on the swing for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. I got tired and came back inside. I heard them talking from the distance, but as soon as I walked in, everyone was suddenly quiet. I asked, "What happened? Did you see something again?" They said no, nothing. I didn't push it. I figured my sister was scared again and just ignored it, then went to sleep alone in my room. The next day, my sister finally told me what had happened. She said she had been sitting next to my grandpa, watching TV, when she heard my mom talking to someone. She looked up and saw my mom standing in the doorway of a bedroom, clearly talking to someone inside. My sister asked, "Who are you talking to?" And my mom replied, "I'm talking to Sarah. She's not answering me." My sister said, "Sarah isn't inside. She's outside on the swing." At first, my mom didn't believe her. She thought we were messing with her. So my sister took her to the living room and showed her through the window I was clearly outside, sitting on the swing. Yes, they both saw me on the swing. Later, my mom said she had taken ice cream out of the freezer and was coming to call me to have some. She passed through the kitchen and didn't see me there. So she went to my room, and I wasn't on my bed either. So she walked to my sister's room and stood in the doorway. That's when she saw the other me. She said I was sitting on my sister's bed, leaning forward so far that my hair was hanging down, completely covering my face. My hair was straight, hanging all the way toward the floor. I was wearing black clothes, exactly the kind of clothes I usually wear. She called my name and told me to come and get some ice cream, but got no response. She got annoyed and said, "Lately you don't answer me at all. At least show some respect." She said she was actually arguing with that thing. That's when my sister walked in and asked who she was talking to. My mom turned back to the room for a second, and whatever it was there before was gone. Completely gone. Then she checked again, and I wasn't inside the house at all. When she saw me outside, through the window, she said she felt the blood freeze in her veins. She kept asking herself, who was I talking to? I told her, "Did you really not question it for even a second? Why would I sit like that? Why would I bend my head down off the bed like that? Does that sound like something I'd ever do?" Thankfully, she didn't push it further. My sister was already terrified, and maybe whatever it was just wanted to scare her. One more thing. Every time my mom saw that figure, it was dressed like me, always wearing black, normal clothes. Leggings, a top, a t-shirt. Nothing unusual at all. Around that time, I had become extremely withdrawn and depressed. Most nights, I would sit on that swing for 4 or 5 hours straight, barely moving, just gently rocking back and forth. I always felt like someone was watching me. That sense of being stared at felt stronger in the yard, especially when I was alone. Slowly, fear started taking over. I became genuinely afraid of the dark, afraid of being alone. I stopped eating properly. Some days, I'd only eat 2 or 3 bites of food, maybe a few spoonfuls at most. My hair started falling out badly. I lost a lot of weight. I didn't recognize myself anymore. One night, I was lying in bed, about to fall asleep. I felt a strange, overwhelming sense of dread. I had that same feeling again, like something was close to me, like someone was watching. And then suddenly, I saw it. Someone peeked into my room, someone who looked exactly like me, not similar, not close, but an exact carbon copy. In our house, we never slept in complete darkness. We always left a small light on in the hallway. Because of that, I could see clearly, it was me. I saw it for maybe 3 or 4 seconds. This wasn't my imagination. It wasn't a hallucination. It was really there. Everything about it was identical to me. My face, my body, my hair. The only difference was the clothes. I was wearing a tank top that night, but it was wearing one of my t-shirts. I could see its upper body clearly, its chest, its arm. And I need to say this clearly. My sister has straight, treated hair. She keeps her hair short. What I saw had my hair curly, frizzy, exactly like mine. So, if you think that I might have confused her for that thing, I must say no. Seeing yourself like that, it's terrifying in a way I can't even describe. That night, I barely slept. The next day, around noon, I went to sit with my grandfather. He looked at me for a moment and said, "Something's wrong with you. I can tell. You're not okay. What's going on?" I broke down and told him everything, from what I had seen to the things my mother had experienced. He listened carefully and then said, "The one you're seeing is your doppelganger." He asked me, "Are you afraid of it? Does it hurt you?" I started crying and said, "It doesn't hurt me, but I'm terrified of it. Truly terrified." And that was the truth. He told me there was a specific talisman to repel a doppelganger. He said his eyesight wasn't good anymore, and his hands were shaking, so he couldn't make it properly for me. He told me what to do exactly, and asked me to be careful with it. I did as instructed. I had a small pouch that I wore around my neck, and I kept the talisman inside. And after that, something really changed. From the very first night after that, the feeling of being watched started to fade. The atmosphere of the house was still heavy, but that presence was gone. It felt like whatever that double was had been pushed away. I haven't seen it since. I'm 24 now, and I'm okay. Hi, I was introduced to you by one of my friends, and I thought I should share one of the things that happened to us. Maybe you can put it on YouTube. Before I start, I should explain something about my family. We're Jewish, and our beliefs are tied to Kabbalistic mysticism. From around the age of 12, we are introduced to concepts that are passed down to us through our elders. This knowledge is inherited generation by generation. It includes Eastern and Western astrology, decoding verses from holy books like the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, finding different kinds of talismans in sacred texts, casting spells, chanting incantations, assigning angels as spiritual guardians, and knowing the correct way to recite talismans. We also study certain rare books, like one attributed to Abraham Talmis, something you've probably never even heard of. Now, this is how the story begins. In this world, there are certain humans who have another version of themselves, something known as a spirit twin or doppelganger. These people can communicate with that twin. Sometimes the human initiates the contact, and sometimes the spirit twin does. And I want to be very clear that this doesn't apply to ordinary people. What happened was this. It was the 12th of October 2020. Around that time, our home phone rang, and we were told that at 1:30 in the morning there would be a ceremony called the Afet Hiyom prayer, and that relatives would be attending. We were invited to come. The Afet Hiyom ceremony is a ritual where people attempt to communicate with the spirits of the dead by appointing angels as intermediaries. They ask the spirits for guidance on different matters. The way the communication happens is through the participant's doppelganger. There's a strict rule in this ritual. If a family wants to communicate with, for example, a grandfather, all members of that family must be present. But only those who have a spirit twin are actually able to make contact. This ceremony is considered extremely dangerous because you have to be very careful. If you make a mistake, you might appoint a demon instead of an angel as the intermediary. We went together as a family and gathered at one of our relatives' houses. The ceremony started at exactly 1:30 a.m. The steps were carried out, but something felt off. It wasn't like other times. The atmosphere felt heavy and full of death and grief. After the ceremony ended, one of our close relatives, someone I was very close to, suddenly lost his mind in the most horrifying way. He started screaming, shouting, and violently hitting himself. He was hitting himself so hard that his mouth was injured. He slammed his head against the wall and ran around like a madman. No one could stop him. It was like his strength had multiplied. Everyone tried to restrain him, but no one could. In the middle of that madness, he grabbed a knife and slit his own throat. He died right then and there. But why did this happen? The elder of the gathering realized that while reciting the invocation to appoint an angel, he had made a mistake and had unknowingly appointed a demon instead. That demon had entered his body during the ritual, and after the ceremony ended, it couldn't leave his body. It tried to escape by damaging his body, by killing him, and tragically, it succeeded. We witnessed the horrifying death of my cousin right there during that ritual. But unfortunately, the story didn't end there. 7 days later, my aunt, the mother of the boy who had died, gathered everyone and told us that for 3 nights in a row, she had been having terrifying dreams. In those dreams, her son appeared and kept telling her, "Join me, join me, join me. Mom, I'm alone. Come to me." In the dream, he then attacked her and killed her. And at that exact moment, she would wake up. At first, we thought it was just grief. We told ourselves it was because she had lost her son and that it would pass. We didn't take it seriously. Then, on December 4th, we were told that my aunt had been hospitalized with cancer. Her condition was very bad and she was dying. I'll keep the rest short. About a month after that news, I saw my spirit twin or doppelganger. It told me that my aunt would pass away the next morning at 5 a.m. and exactly like that, she did. We lost her too. It was a fall afternoon. My husband decided to visit his brother. At the time, my older daughter was 10 years old. She cried and begged her father to take her along. I had just given birth to my youngest daughter and was in really bad shape, so I asked him to take her with him so I could get some sleep and rest. Part of the placenta had been left inside me, and a few days after giving birth, I had to undergo another surgery to have it removed. I was weak, exhausted, and in serious need of rest. My husband took my older daughter with him. I checked the clock, it was around 3 p.m., and I fell asleep. I'm Turkish, and in our culture, some people believe a woman who has just given birth shouldn't be left alone for at least 40 days. I never really believed in that, which is why I didn't ask anyone to come stay with me. After some time, I woke up with an intense feeling of thirst. I felt so weak that I couldn't even get up to get water. That's when I heard the sound of running water coming from the kitchen. I looked over and saw a woman standing at the sink, washing dishes. She was wearing a coat, and she had a headscarf tied loosely behind her neck. At first, I thought I was still dreaming. But then I checked the time. It was around 5 p.m. I looked outside. The sky was already dark. The warmth from the old heater made the curtains move slightly. Everything felt far too real to be a dream. Then I saw my daughter come out of the kitchen. Her long black hair, reaching down to her waist, was loose over her shoulders. She walked toward me slowly, stretched out her hand, and with a terrifying smile said, "Come on, get up. I'll get you some water." At that exact moment, my newborn baby, who I need to stress was only 7 or 8 days old, started speaking. She spoke in my native language. She said, "That's not her. It's her doppelganger." That was when I understood something was very wrong. I tried to move, but I couldn't. My arms and legs wouldn't respond. I felt pressure on my chest, like I was being crushed. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. At least, that's what it felt like. Later, neighbors told me my screams could be heard all the way outside. For those few minutes, the girl, who looked exactly like my daughter, just stood there, arms still extended toward me. After that incident, I was so terrified that I was taken to several therapists just to be able to function again. I'm not someone who strongly believes in spiritual or paranormal things, but that one incident, I have no explanation for it. Maybe it was a hallucination. Maybe it was the physical and psychological stress of that period. But whatever it was, even now, when I think about it, my heart still starts to race. Hi dear Maya, hope you're doing well. My name's Miti, and I'm 19 years old. What I'm about to tell you comes straight from my own life, from things I've personally experienced and feelings that have been with me since I was a kid. When I was a toddler, like 1 or 2 years old, my mom used to say I saw things. You know how people say kids can see stuff adults can't? For example, whenever my grandmother had one of her mild strokes, I could foresee it and started crying, so much so that all the neighbors would gather around. They'd say, "Your kid's screams are echoing through the whole yard. Take her to a doctor or this is gonna end badly." Even now, whenever those neighbors see me somewhere, they all remember that time and bring it up. Anyway, I got older. When I was about 11, I constantly felt like someone was standing behind me, staring at me. That feeling got way worse whenever I went to another city to stay at my mom's mother's house. It got so bad that no matter what I did, my neck would twist backward, like I was trying to look behind me all the time. I ended up with horrible neck pain. I didn't feel safe anywhere. I swear, even in the bathroom, I felt something behind me, a dark shadow. My mom's cousin, who was staying at my grandma's house at the time, suddenly told my mom one day, out of nowhere, "Your daughter is scared in the bathroom. She's scared in the kitchen." He hadn't seen anything, and I hadn't told anyone. When my mom asked me if it was true, I said yes. He told her that I had a doppelganger, a spiritual twin, and that it was bothering me, always standing behind me. He was someone who could do things like divination, or read people a little, not professionally, but still. Time passed. From age 12, my restlessness at night started. There were always things around me that wouldn't let me sleep. I never saw them clearly, but they messed with me badly. My mom secretly watched me a few times and saw how much I struggled in my sleep. She put a knife under my pillow, placed holy book above my head, or read verses for me, but none of it really worked. At some point, they took me to a cleric. He said my doppelganger was bothering me and gave me a prayer written on paper, told me to pin it to my clothes and keep it on me. It helped a bit. One time, I was at my grandma's house and my parents weren't there. While I was falling asleep, my grandma hugged me from behind. I closed my eyes, and suddenly this black shadow, which was like a black ball, was thrown straight at me with insane force. I jumped so hard that my grandma flew back a few inches from the impact of my movement. She panicked, immediately called the cleric to pray for me from far away, then took me to several mediums after that. She was terrified and did everything she could. Years passed. When I was 16 or 17, new things started happening at night. I'd already become a terrible sleeper since age 12. I basically didn't sleep at all. At 16 or 17, my bedroom light was always on at night. I'd sit on my bed with my legs stretched out. Then these things would come close to me. Voices, presences, and force me to endure them with half-open eyes. I'd beg them, "Leave me alone. Go away." They never listened. They had to pressure me with their voices and presence before leaving. Sometimes they'd sit around me, looking human, like a group of women, 5 or 6 of them, sitting at the foot of my bed, talking and laughing. I'd even laugh with them. They felt happy, almost normal. Other times, I'd hear sword fighting sounds above my head, and I was forced to endure it. When my mom started walking toward my room, they ran away. The sound of them leaving was like a herd of horses running with dust, chaos, exactly like that. Sometimes they'd take the form of my grandmother, who lived in another city and whom I hadn't seen in 7 years. She'd open my bedroom door, ask how I was doing, smiling, and then disappear. Once, one of them took the form of my best friend, walking toward me from the kitchen, but her eyes were different, red. As she got closer, I felt this horrible pressure and suffocation. Suddenly, my mom moved next to me, and whatever it was vanished. Thank God. Their sounds were awful. Sometimes human voices, sometimes wolves, dogs, wild animals howling. No. They were even worse than that. Whenever they were above me, there was this insanely heavy energy pressing down on my body. It physically crushed me. I never saw their true faces. Every time, they looked different. One of them always looked like me. It was the same shadow that others called my doppelganger. I got so exhausted because they wouldn't even let me sit peacefully. Whenever I sat down, they'd immediately come for me. So I started walking around the house instead. My parents used to joke about it. They said, "We're scared one night. We'll see you standing over us at 3 or 4 a.m. like a ghost." And Maya, these were not dreams, not at all. I was fully awake. I wasn't sleepy. I wasn't trying to fall asleep. I saw all of this while I was awake. My mom finally broke down, scared out of her mind, and took me to more religious healers and mediums. They all said the same thing, that these were demonic doppelgangers, and they didn't know why they were bothering me. They told me to recite a specific verse and blow it onto my elbow every night, and honestly, it worked for a long time. Later, some things came back, but weaker. I also need to say this. I have a very strong sixth sense. There's always negative energy around me. That energy doesn't let me be happy. It fills my head with dark thoughts and voices telling me to hurt myself in different ways. Worse than that, bad things happen to anything I mention by name. For example, last month I told my mom we should go on a trip with my aunt and cousin. We planned everything. The next day, my aunt's father-in-law died, and my uncle got into serious trouble and ended up in jail. Thank God he's free now. Or just last week, I mentioned another location for a trip plan, because a very close family friend lives there. We planned to visit them. 2 nights after I said their names, we heard they'd been murdered. It completely destroyed us mentally. I couldn't get it out of my head for nights. Even now, days later, it still won't leave my mind. We ended up going there for their memorial, and during that time, another member of their family was arrested. He wasn't even there for the funeral. And now he's facing execution. Things like this keep happening. I'm really sorry this got so long, and thank you so much for sharing my story on your channel. Hey Maya, hope you're doing well. Since you post scary stories for a long time on your different channels, I thought this time I'd finally send you one of mine. I don't want to share my name, but you can call me Nancy. What I'm about to tell you is about my doppelganger. At one point in my life, I got engaged to someone who was honestly a very toxic person. I was with him for 4 years, but at some point, with the help of my family and friends, I finally ended it and walked away. Naturally, after that, I got depressed. I became withdrawn, isolated. My family tried everything to help me feel better. From suggesting trips and going out with friends, to trying out different activities, but I didn't care about any of it. I was hurting myself in private, staying alone, and I wasn't social at all during that time. Ever since I was a kid, I've had really intense lower back pain. Keep this in mind. Anyways, even as a kid, I'd always been interested in the paranormal. I followed those topics a lot. One day, someone we knew came to our house and told my mom, "I feel like Nancy has another problem. This doesn't seem like it's just about that guy." She and my mom went out together. When my mom came back, she kept looking at me and crying. I thought maybe I'd done something wrong. Later, she talked to me and said she'd spoken to someone very reputable, someone who specializes in paranormal matters. Without her telling him anything about me, he described everything: my back pain, the toxic relationship, all of it. He even mentioned things I'd never told anyone in my life. He said he wanted to see me in person. I really didn't want to go. I resisted a lot. At one point, I even got out of the car while my mom was driving, but she kept insisting to the point I agreed to go see him. She took me to his house. He said he wanted to talk to me alone. My mom was scared something might happen to me, so she sent my younger brother in with me. As soon as he started talking, he said, "Did you know you have a doppelganger?" I said, "I feel like there's something around me sometimes." He told me, "Your doppelganger isn't good toward you. It's jealous of you. It keeps hurting you. That's why you harm yourself, why you're aggressive toward people, why you've become isolated. It wants to break you completely." Then he said a very strong curse had been placed on me, and that curse had made my doppelganger even angrier. He said the curse was powerful, which is why the attacks were so intense. He also said the family of my former fiancé had done this. According to him, my back pain and my weakness were because of all this. I kept giving vague answers, not really engaging. But suddenly, the atmosphere in the room became extremely heavy. I felt dizzy, like someone was right next to me. I swear to God, I couldn't even focus anymore. I just stared at him. He looked back at me and said, "I summoned it. It's sitting next to you right now." I was terrified. All I wanted was to get out of there and go back to my mom. He said, "Don't be scared. I can't destroy a doppelganger, but I can calm it down and push it farther away from you." Then he warned me that for about a week, I might become more aggressive, more violent, that I might try to destroy the talisman he'd give me. He told my mom, "You cannot leave her alone during this time. Even if she fights you, even if she argues, you have to endure it. She's fighting the doppelganger, and it doesn't want to let go of her." That week was hell. I was angry all the time, screaming, breaking things. And exactly as he said, it always started after sunset. I kept ripping up the talisman and throwing it away. My mom, poor thing, would go pick it up and put it back in my hand. She suffered so much during that time. She endured everything until I finally started getting better. After 7 days, things slowly improved. Day by day, it got calmer. I still feel its presence sometimes, but it's limited now. It still tries to come back, but it's restrained. I'm really sorry if this was long, Maya, or if I exhausted you. I just thought maybe something that happened in my life might be scary enough for your channel. For me, it was a living nightmare. If there are spelling mistakes anywhere, please fix them however you like. Thank you so much.